Hi, I'm Mina Malik Hussain, and you're watching The Coffee Table. And today we're covering a topic which has to do with a condition that over 68 million people worldwide, I wouldn't say suffer from, but deal with on a daily basis. And luckily, there are lots of ways to deal with it. There are lots of solutions. There are lots of ways to cope. And as always, on The Coffee Table, we like having conversations that are hopeful and oriented towards problem solving. So I am very, very excited today to welcome on set Ahmed Abdullah, who is the founder of the Pakistan Stammering Foundation. He is the CEO of SAY Global and the COO of the Asian Association for Stuttering Organizations, and Dr. Shabana Majid, who is a London qualified speech therapist. Hello and welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you very much for having us.
I'm delighted to be talking about stammering or stuttering, as it's called, and just kind of really unpack what it means to have it. What does it mean to live with it? What does it mean for people who have a stammerer in their lives? So, Shabana, could you tell us what is stammering? And I believe that it's interchangeably used with stuttering.
That's right. Thank you for having us on board, Meena. Thank you. This is a very nice opportunity to build up our awareness about stammering, which we were talking about usually in clinics. Yes. Now, stammering, disfluency, stuttering, haklana, there's no difference in them. Usually people think there's a difference. It's just a British and American accent or an Australian way of saying them. But they all mean the same. Stammering is basically more of a difficulty of language and communication, and it's a motor speech disorder. So whatever the thoughts are in your mind, you're struggling to express them verbally out very loud and clear. Usually people start to stutter around 2 or 3 years of age. That's usually when you start stammering. But I think 90% children all stammer between 2 to 3 years of age, and this usually starts off when you're starting to build up from words to sentences. Children usually start language by words, so spoon, car, shoe, and when they have to switch it into a sentence, so where's my shoe, I like my shoes, or I lost my shoes, they can't string all these words together, and that's when stammering usually happens. It does happen in some teenagers, so for example, in some head injuries or epilepsy starting around teenager age, adolescence, that's stammering. In stammering, what we've seen in bilinguals is there's more difficulty in the second language, they're more fluent. It's the mother language that usually is affected.
Really? And why is that?
Because this is a motor speech disorder. It's more about how you think things and how you say them. So in mother language, you're more relaxed because that's the language you've spoken since birth.
Yes.
So usually we see language is more easier to speak, more disfluent in, and the second language will be the language which they are more fluent in because they're thinking more. That's not their mother language to speak in. Now, stammering starts with lots of contributors.
Right.
They can be home contributors. What's happening at home? Have I had another sibling? Have I changed house? Family has moved out of the house. It can be the school or the office environment you're working in.
Right.
Am I bullied? Am I being accepted? Do I feel comfortable here? Is the peer support here for me? It can be your health or medical conditions.
Right.
So health and for children that we see, lots of special needs children, they will stammer more because of their medical condition. Now that can be in adults and in children as well. Yes. And then the personality you have. That's why, because you show low self-esteem and confidence, lots of people in Pakistan will go to a psychologist first for their stammering.
Indeed. And that's something I want to cycle back to in just a second. But Ahmed, you are the sort of chief person of so many wonderful initiatives. So can you tell me what for example, the Pakistan Stammering Foundation, which you founded, and you are also the CEO of SAY Global. So could you tell me a little bit more about these organizations?
First of all, thank you for inviting me to the show. Yeah, this all started last year. Like I have worked with many organizations, and 3 years back I thought that like I am living for myself. I'm just for me, like people are living for themselves, they're thinking of themselves. So life is given you once, you have to live for once. So you should utilize it for not only for the benefit of yourself, but for the benefit of people, for a society. So that pushed me to start with. So as I'm still a stammerer, so I thought that it will be better that I start with stammering. So I started with a self-help group, and we started our sessions at British Council Lahore. And in last December, that changed into Pakistan Stammering Foundation. And a month ago, we have founded Say Global Foundation. So the Say Global Foundation is the main, and beneath that we have different projects like Pakistan Stammering Foundation. Then we have mental health development program.
Right.
So in Pakistan Stammering Foundation, we are providing self-help groups to stammer, where they come, where they get together and share their issues, their thoughts, their emotions. And we have a public speaking club.
Yes, and what is it called? It has a very nice name.
That is the PSF Toastmasters Club. So we partner up with Toastmasters. So this club is very unique. This is the 4th club in the world and 1st club in Asia that is dedicated to not only to stammerers, but also people having speech anxiety, social phobia, and low confidence.
Right. And these are all issues that do stem from people who have a speech impediment like stammering, because it's such an important part of communication. And when one is sort of unable to do it the way other people are doing it, then that does cause a lot of self-esteem issues, right?
Yeah, like this is the main thing. Like when you wake up in the morning, from then till you sleep at night, all the time you do one thing: you communicate. All the time you are communicating in your home, on the street, in the store, at your work. So the one thing you always do is communicate, unless you are living in a jungle. If you are living among people, you have to communicate at all times.
Yes.
So you need to make understand people what you are saying. So the things you are doing, you are inspiring people, you are motivating people, you are making them understand your message. These things you do all the time, and for that you need to have a good speech, like clear speech, you can say that. The thing I felt that the last 1 year, the stammerers push themselves towards a perfection. There is no such thing exists in the world, that perfect speech. Even non-stammer that stumble, they stammer.
Yes.
So like that is okay to stammer. Like if I'm talking to you and I'm stammering, that is totally fine. I need to accept that this is a part of me. This is who I am.
Yes.
And from there the journey begins. So if I keep like feeling guilty for myself or feeling ashamed that, oh, I just stammered, and start hating myself. That won't take me to anywhere.
Quite
So
right.
first to accept yourself, and from there the journey begins.
And I think that it's very brave of you to be spearheading these projects, because a lot of the times, and I think especially in Pakistan, I can't speak for the rest of the world, there is a great deal of embarrassment about not being the same as everybody else. And usually what we want to do is kind of pretend that a problem doesn't, or a challenge doesn't exist, and we just kind of want to hide. But I think it takes a great deal of courage to sort of, like you said, step up and say that this is not something to be embarrassed about, and this is not a defect in me, and this is who I am, and it doesn't define me as a person. And it's probably really inspiring for all the people who come to your support groups.
Like, this is the main thing, like, not only in but especially in Pakistan, I felt that this is the stigma. People try to hide the stammer, but they don't realize that they can't hide it. Like, people will see the stammer. So
it's there.
Whatever you do, the stammering will be there. So try to ease yourself and tell people that I stammer. Like, if you try to hide, let me explain what is going in a stammerer's mind.
Yes.
Like, it's
but I want to just interrupt you here for one, because I have a question I want to ask Shabana that will then frame what you are about to tell me. So you are seeing the inner workings of a TV show. So Shabana, I wanted to quickly come back to the causes of stammering. And we did mention a few, because Ahmed has quite rightly pointed out that a lot of non-stammerers also do sometimes stammer. And speech anxiety is something that happens to many people, regardless of whether it is, you know, a condition that stays.
Now, I think we start from a positive note. The positive note is that what we from research is that 1% every person stammers. Everyone stammers. So if someone throws a sudden question at you, for me, for example, if it's a question about physics or chemistry, I don't know much about, I will be thrown. And I'll be thinking, let me have a think about what's the right answer, and then reply back. So every human being around the world, 1% stammer is in everyone.
Right.
What we by research is that for adults that are stammering, or children or adolescents at the moment, there is an underlying language difficulty.
Right. But where does it come from?
So some children will, or adults and people will find it hard to attend and understand complex sentences. So if I've not understood well, I try to reply back faster. Sometimes the way I try to construct a sentence, knowing that there will be some sounds I'm struggling with, the syntax, the sentence structure, I'm trying to do it much quicker than a normal person, and that makes me a bit bumpy and trip over. Sometimes I know there are some particular words, because I'm rushing myself, I get a word finding difficulty. These are all language difficulties that we have. So for example, if I am struggling with the sound S and I stammer on it all the time, when a guest comes into my house, I'm not going to say, come and sit on the sofa with me. I'll say, come and sit on the chair. And when I'm trying to judge the word sofa or chair, which is called code switch for stammerers, what I'm doing is I'm trying to think two things at the same time. And all these pressures start building up into a communication difficulty.
Oh, right. So it becomes compounded. That is really, really interesting. And we're going to take a very quick break and come back to this fascinating conversation. Stay with us. Hi, welcome back to the coffee table. We're having a really wonderful conversation about stammering with Ahmed Abdullah, who is the CEO of Say Global, and Shabana Majid, who is a speech therapist here in Lahore. So, Shabana, we were talking about the reasons why a person might stammer. And do you think that genetics plays some role in this?
Yes, it definitely does. This has been well researched. And the two things that have been highlighted really strongly, and a third I will add in as well, is that first, genetics has a big role to play.
Ah,
So
really?
usually if we start stammering, we would give them another 6 months by giving them home advice that try this at home, and lots of children, about 90%, will resolve after stammering. But there will be that 5% who will not come out of that stammering difficulty.
Right.
And the first question is about their genetics, their family history. Especially stammering is more in boys than in girls. The ratio is 4:1.
That's big.
If we have five adults here stammering, usually it will be more boys than girls. And if it is girls, stammer will be quite significantly severe.
Right. And why do you think that is? Do you think that kind of, again, a physiological thing, or is it a cultural thing that people respond differently when boys stammer as opposed to when girls stammer? Or a bit of both?
Given more psychological and are sensitive, and they're given more reassurance in their childhood. They're taken care of much more carefully and much more. With boys, even if they're crying, they're not allowed to cry out loud.
Yeah.
In Pakistani culture, you're always told to be a man, stand up for yourself. So all the emotional trauma they're going through, the psychological side, the sensitivity, there's no one too much to discuss about it. What we do know is that all children that come to us under 7 years of age, yes, definitely we make them very fluent. After 7 years, there is no disfluency in their lives. But if you continue stammer and keep waiting till you're 15 or 16, when the children start feeling the social interaction limitation and the having on their social life, their friendships, their interviews, their public talking, that's when they come in for help. But it's a little too late for us to guarantee that stammer will finish. We will only be able to give them some strategies that they can use. And 70-80% of those difficulties do resolve when they use those strategies.
Oh, so you're saying that if a child around, let's say a toddler, 3 or 4, and they do have a stammer, and if at that point their caregivers find help for them with a speech therapist such as yourself, it is very likely that they will be able to sort of outgrow it and then, or at least sort of, I don't think cure is the right word, is it?
Under 7 years, they completely resolve.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. So it's not something that you should ignore.
Right. But they've had a language assessment. That's the important part. If you're under 7 and you have a formal language assessment done, which looks at all different areas of your listening, comprehension, your semantics, your expressive side, how you say sound, if this is all looked into, then you resolve.
Oh. So, if a child stammers, and like you said, at 2 or 3, it's a natural thing for a child to stammer because, again, of the way that language is becoming more complex for them. And naturally, there's a little hiccup there because the brain is trying to keep up with all of this activity. So, how long should a stammer persist? And what does it sound like for a caregiver to think that, oh, okay, maybe this child does need a language assessment?
All children, 90%, will stammer between 2 to 3 years of age.
Yes.
That's why we call it the normal non-fluency or normal stammer.
Right.
We give all parents 6 months from the day that the child started to stammer with some home environmental changes of how to help and support your child at home. 90% will resolve through this. If after 6 months the parents contact us back that no, the child is stammering, then we look at the types of stammering there are. There's 3 main different types of stammer that a child has.
Right.
One is called repetition, where you keep repeating the sound or the word.
Okay.
The other one is prolonging, where you start prolonging and make each sound very long. And the third one is blocking, where your lips are kind of left moving, but you don't hear any voice coming out.
Okay. So, Ahmed, as somebody who does stammer, and you were about to tell me what is going on in the mind of somebody who stammers, and I think that Shabana also mentioned it there, that there is an anxiety because people who stammer are very aware of the fact that they are not able to pronounce some words, for example, or like saying chair instead of sofa, for example. So there's already a lot of... Stammerers are self-aware. They know what's going on.
Yeah, like being a stammerer myself, I can explain you the
Yes.
whole brain thing is going there
Ah.
when we are trying to talk to someone. Yeah. First of all, this is a stigma all around the world, but especially here in Pakistan, people try to hide. I like it's more than a year. I'm working with stammerers in self-help groups. So they try to hide if we try to take pictures. So they said, I don't want to take a picture. I don't want to disclose that I am a stammerer. So these are the things we need to work upon to disclose. So when a stammerer try to hide his or her stammering, what happens? First of all, as Shabana talked about the words, the fear words. So, for example, if I stammer on the word assalamu alaikum,
Yes.
especially on the vowels. So, like, I will try to avoid that. So, like, if I want to, hide my stammering, I will try to avoid, and the pressure will start building in my mind here. It's like a gun here. The gun is here. The pressure is there. So
Yes.
the more I try to hide, there will be more anxiety, and my heartbeat will go faster and faster.
Yes.
And due to that, I have more, short breaths, and due to that, yeah, and there will be a pressure that I have to speak, and I try to speak fast because I know that I can be stuck. So I try to speak fast so that the words don't get stuck. So what that does, make, like I try to speak fast, and I don't take a breath, I don't take a pause, and I try to push myself. So people, stem like I'm so when they try to push and then they don't breathe, their heart is so fast, and they are like more scared in the mind here. So what that makes them, they are trying to speaking, they are pushing themselves. Like if you see a stammerer speaking, like they are not relaxing their mind and try to push. They're saying, I'm going to and this they start jerking themselves like that. Sorry, the like yeah,
That
they
sounds
get
very scary. That sounds very scary in the sense that, like you said, communication is something that we do at all times in the day. And we have to speak to people. And of course we do. And it's obviously already a stressful situation. And are there certain things that people around a stammerer can do that to make a stammerer feel more comfortable and less pressured to be speaking fast?
Yeah, like this is the one thing. Like when my stammering, my mom told me that I start stammering when I was around 2 years old, and my first memory of stammering when I was around 6 or 7 maybe, and I remembered that because my mom told me that you stammer, so you need to speak slowly or do what. So from there, I started to learn that there is something wrong with me. Before that, I have no clue. I was speaking, even I was stammering, I was fine. Then when people started to point out to me, hey, why you speaking like this? So when you start to point out, then this is the time you start to feel that there is something wrong with me. So the pressure starts from there, and it just goes on the time. The more the time you spend, and it becomes more complex mental issues, psychological issues, like
Yes.
for example, avoidance.
Which we did
In
speak
that,
about just now.
yeah, like to avoid situations. We
Yes.
don't talk to strangers. We don't talk to strangers. If we get some chance to perform, to make a speech, or to do a leading role in job so that we be in front of people. We try to avoid that too.
Absolutely.
So these kind of things.
Yes.
And yeah.
So I'm just going to interrupt there because I want to talk more about jobs and entrepreneurial opportunities that you are doing some work about. But first, a break. Hi, welcome back to the coffee table. We're having a wonderful conversation about stammering and the challenges that stammerers face and what can we do to help support them clinically and, sort of at home. So, Shabana, could you tell us a few techniques that families or friends of stammerers can use to help support stammerers?
Now, stammering is something that's in all social groups, in all cultures around the world. So there has been good research going on for the last 70 years to find out solutions and how we can help them once they get into that little rut of psychologically it started to affect them. We have who was the very first documented stammerer we have, and how did that person? That person documented is in the Quran. It was Hazrat Musa. He couldn't talk. He stammered. He didn't go to Pharaoh's court because he stammered.
Yes.
So what that experience told us was, when you have a buddy with you, you're comfortable. He took his brother Hazrat Harun with him.
Yes.
So whenever you're with a sibling, with a good friend who understands you, a good parent who understands you, a good husband who understands you, it helps you to relax. And even you do get into a stammer difficulty, they are there to support you and continue. But what does help is that if you start to complete sentences for adults that stammer, no matter how hard and embarrassing and how complex it is, you let them finish that sentence so they have some sense of achievement before they carry on. Otherwise, that's some bad experience they will carry on with life with. Now, a few good things I would like to tell all stammerers is, there are a few places which have been documented that they don't stammer, because stammering has got to do a lot with the cognitive language linguistic area.
Okay.
So if you're reading, you don't get a lot of time to think, you don't stammer. If these stammerers whisper, that's why you will observe all stammerers in public places will speak in a low volume.
Right.
They've learned this skill by maybe someone advising them, or just by experimenting with this. Whispering reduces stammer.
Oh, because the sort of pressure on the vocal cords probably less.
And you're trying to speak slower, because if you whisper, you can't speak fast.
That's true.
So
that's true. I just tried it.
So that's good. You're trying to agree with all the research that's out there. So if you're singing, you're reciting something like a child with a nursery rhyme, or you're singing a song, you won't stammer. So I ask all stammerers, when you're out in public, just for your self-esteem, which is psychologically damaged many times, start to sing a song off. Try to read out something. Try to recite something. Or when you're talking in a bigger group, take a mic and talk in a lower volume, though it's not very healthy for the vocal folds, but they know I won't stammer at this time if you're presenting in a group or something.
Yes.
And most of these people will not stammer at home. So all the social media is so good nowadays and so effective. Try to do all video recordings at home, in your home, and try to do it in your second language, because in second language, usually they're more fluent than compared to their mother language.
Right. So why won't stammerers stammer at home? Is it actually really because they are in an environment where they feel safe and they don't have anxiety?
Where do stammerers stammer more? They will stammer more when there is an authority figure. So that could be some elder family, that can be a policeman, that can be your head of the institute. They will or when I have to go into a novel, strange, new place.
Yes.
So that can be in a new restaurant trying to order my menu. That could be picking up a phone. That could be asking someone directions in a new place when I'm lost. So all new experiences experiences are a little anxious for us, like if we're lost at a new airport, a different airport, if we're lost in a new city and we don't know their language. This is being human, that you get a bit anxious about things. But their anxiety builds up more in a new situation. So they have the anxiety and the concerns that we have in a new place, plus knowing that my communication may not be as fluent as expected here. In home situations, coming out, who's going out, what the time of the day is, how their house runs. They know their siblings, their parents, and usually families know their stammer. So that's why they are less fluent at home.
Ah, right. And Ahmed, we were talking about job opportunities and we were talking about making presentations. And I think that our kind of career paths begin when we're in school, because at some point you have to stand up in class and read something out, or you are in assembly on the mic, or there's something that requires public speaking, and a job is probably the most important kind of public speaking, like in job interview, for example. So can you tell me the work that Say Global is doing to help stammerers with those opportunities?
Yes. For those, we have started services like PSF Toastmasters Club, where we are helping stammerers to develop their communication skills, their public speaking skills, and their leadership skills. So we are providing them a safe environment in that they can practice these skills.
Yes.
So, like, if they make mistake, that is totally fine. So, like, for example, if I'm there in the club and I'm trying to make a speech and I stammer so much and I get anxious and I say, okay, I can't make a speech. That's not going to happen. So what do? We say, that's fine, okay. We try to make them, our fellows, relax. So we try again and again.
Yes.
We always, motivate and try to push them a little bit to come out of their comfort zone.
Yes.
Yeah, like for example, like you are doing shows on daily basis or 3-4 episodes in a month. So if you stop that for like 6 months and you are back on the stage again, so that won't be easy for you for like a few days. So your communication skills is like a sport. Speaking is a sport. You keep practicing it. The more you practice, the more you will become fluent. You will become confident. You can see in the actors, like if they have a like if they have a dialogue of like 5 minutes, they have to rehearse that for so many times. Then they are able to pitch that in the right way.
Yes.
So like this one thing we're doing. Second, we are providing speech therapy services, individual and group therapy, and in that,
Tell me about the group therapy, because that must be a really rewarding experience for people to find community in each other. And it must be such a confidence boost to know that you're not alone. And here are other people who also are facing challenges similar to yours.
Yes, the group therapy is an amazing experience. Like you are there, you are learning the speech therapy techniques, and there are people with you. So if you are not able to apply a technique, you can see your fellows, how they are doing that. So it's not only you are getting feedback from the therapist, but also from your fellows. So like one thing I have noticed, that stammering is not just a speech issue. Like it's the lack of communication from your brain and to your tongue. This is also have to deal with your mindset, your mental state.
Yes.
So like because I know many stammerers, they done speech therapy and they can speak, you can say fluently. But when there is pressure, there is a situation, they still have the fear.
Yes.
They are not able to speak. They quit.
They quit.
So
and
this is the thing.
quitting is the thing that can't do. And Ahmed, I think that your work is so tremendous in helping fellow stammerers find community and to not quit and to not give up on themselves. And as people who have friends or family who stammer, it's very important to keep in mind certain techniques that Dr. Majid also told us about. One of them is speaking slower. Or like Ahmed mentioned, do not ask a stammerer, why are you talking like that? They know. So the kindest and the best thing you can do is listen, wait for them to finish their sentence, do not finish their sentences for them, and just be kind. So I hope that this is really helpful for all of you. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time on The Coffee Table. Bye now.